Hello everyone, my name is Susie and welcome to Grade 3 Capitan. Just like Grades 1 and 2, there will be 3 parts. The first part will be on reading, the second part will be on context and vocabulary, and the third part will be on grammar and sometimes writing. But this time, the Grade 3 videos will be a little different. For these videos, you will be working with me to complete the interactive notes worksheets that are provided in your textbooks. So have your reading interactive notes worksheet ready, since today we will be working on the reading part of Grade 3, Lesson 1. Don't forget to have your textbooks ready, as you will be asked to refer back to the story from time to time. So are you ready to begin today's lesson? Great. Let's get going. What is the title of today's story? Right, prized possessions. In today's story, Mr. Backlin's 3rd grade class is having a show and tell day. What is show and tell? Well, show and tell is a time where students bring their favorite items to class and tell about them. You can bring anything to show and tell. You can even bring your pet cat. Now, before we start reading, let's go over some questions you will need to answer about the story. If you had paid attention to the details in the story, you won't have a problem answering the questions. So here's the first question. What does each student bring to show and tell? And the second question is, why are these items special? There should be a reason in which the students choose to bring those items to class. So find out why the items are special for the students. Keep these 2 questions in mind while we read the story together. Now, read aloud with me. So open your textbooks to page 6. Be ready to stop at certain sections in the story. We will stop and think to answer questions on the worksheets. Are you ready? Today, all the children in Mr. Backlin's 3rd grade class at Capitan Elementary School have a special assignment. They are all bringing in their most prized possessions for a day of show and tell. Show and tell is always good for a laugh, says Mr. Backlin. He's been doing this for many years now, but it never gets old. Who wants to go first? Great job. Turn the page. Ready? Every child in the classroom throws his or her hand into the air at once. Mr. Backlin doesn't know who to call on, so he just closes his eyes and points. The children follow the path of Mr. Backlin's pointing index finger right to Emily. Emily blushes with embarrassment as Mr. Backlin opens his eyes. Okay, next page. Are you ready? I guess that'd be me, Emily says with a sheepish smile. She walks to the front of the classroom with a fat black cat in her arms. Let's pause here for a moment and let's stop and think. Take a look at part 1 of your worksheet. Listen carefully to the question I ask you, and then write your answer. Okay, now, think about what you would do if you were a student in Mr. Backlin's class. What would you bring for show and tell? Start your answer with I would bring. You may begin. What did you write for your answer? I wrote, I would bring my favorite deck of cards. Remember, all our answers will be different. Now let's continue reading page 8, starting from This is Goliath. Are you ready? This is Goliath, says Emily. He's my prized possession because I like to squeeze him and pet him. He likes to eat more than anything, but sometimes he plays too. That's fantastic, says Mr. Backlund. How about you, Jimmy? What do you have for us? Moving on to the next page. Ready? Jimmy Tang walks to the front of the classroom with his brand new guitar. Okay, let's pause here for a moment. Let's stop and think here. Look at the second question. What do you think Jimmy will do to show off his guitar skills? Here you will be making a prediction. This means that you will try to guess what will happen next. When making a prediction, you start your sentence with I think. So you can write, I think Jimmy will. You may begin writing. Did you write your prediction? Well, I think Jimmy will play a cool song on his guitar. What did you predict? There's no right or wrong answer. It's just a guess. Whenever you predict, you should always read on to confirm your answer. So let's read on from the words my guitar to confirm your prediction. Ready? My guitar is my most prized possession, says Jimmy. I just got it, so I'm not very good yet. But someday, Jimmy will jam. Jimmy plays a few chords on a shiny guitar and takes a bow. Thanks for that bit of show, tell, and play, Jimmy, says Mr. Backlund. I do believe that you will someday jam. Next. Pause here. Let's stop right here and think again. And let's answer question number 3 to confirm our prediction. So what does Jimmy actually do to show off his guitar skills? Again, what does Jimmy actually do to show off his guitar skills? You may begin to write. You should have answered something like, Jimmy plays a few chords on his guitar. Was your prediction correct? If it was, good job. If not, that's okay. Part of predicting is adjusting or changing your predictions as you read and learn new information. Turn the page and let's read on. Jake stands up before anyone else has a chance and he swaggers to the front of the room. He is wearing a baseball uniform and there's a baseball glove on his left hand. In his right hand is an autographed baseball. This ball was signed by the whole 2006 Capital City Crushers baseball team. One of the players himself gave it to me after a big game, says Jake with pride. It reminds me of baseball. It's a great feeling to hit home runs like those guys did in that game. Turn the page. Let's keep reading. Super, says Mr. Backlund. Thanks for sharing. It'll be hard to top that one. Who'd care to try? Sophia struts to the front of the room. She is wearing a very elegant cocktail dress, and she almost looks like an adult with her matching purse. I used to go to important business conferences with my father in New York, said Sophia. Because my mother had to work, I'd go as my father's date to the social events in the evening. That's where I learned how to dance. Turn to page 12. Cool, says Mr. Backlund. It must be rough to move to such a small town. We sure don't have stuff like that here in Cappytown. Oh well, I guess you adjust and you do still have that classy outfit. Sophia dances her way to her seat, and finally, at long last, it is Ben's turn. Ben walks up to the front of the room and he clears his throat. He takes out an old, busted-up skateboard and shrugs his shoulders. My skateboard is my most prized possession, says Ben. But I use it so much that it's gotten all busted up. I am saving up my money, though. Hopefully soon, I will be able to buy myself a new one. It will be bigger, faster, and stronger. Do not turn the page yet. Here is a strategy to help us comprehend what we are reading. Sometimes, to better understand what is going on, it is helpful to reread. So let's reread this paragraph about Ben so that we can get a clear picture about how Ben feels about a show and tell item. So start from Ben walks up to. Ben walks up to the front of the room and clears his throat. He takes out an old busted-up skateboard and shrugs his shoulders. My skateboard is my most prized possession, says Ben. But I use it so much that it's gotten all busted up. I am saving up my money, though. Hopefully soon I will be able to buy myself a new one. It will be bigger, faster, and stronger. All right, let's pause here for a moment. And let's stop and think. Here is the last question 4. How does Ben feel about his show and tell item? Start your answer with Ben feels. Now write your answer. Did you write something like, Ben feels proud of his skateboard? If your answer was similar, then you are correct. We know that Ben feels that way because he shows his most prized possession, which is his old busted-up skateboard. When you tried to answer this, you were making an inference. When you make an inference, you use evidence or information from the story and connect to what you already know about the world around you to make a guess about something not told to you in the story. The author doesn't directly say, Ben feels proud of his skateboard. We have to infer or make a guess. We can do this by looking at how he acts. Now let's use the evidence we found in the story about Ben and connect it to what we already know in real life. So on page 12, Ben shrugs his shoulders when he takes out his show and tell item. When you shrug your shoulders, it can show that you are either not confident or confident. It could mean both. But in this case, Ben is confident about his skateboard because he brings it as his most prized possession. Next, Ben says it's gotten all busted up. Well, we know from his action that he is proud of it because he used it so much for practice that it got all busted up. As an experienced skateboarder, a busted up skateboard would probably look old with scratches or cracks on it. Last, Ben also tells his classmates that he is saving up to buy a new skateboard. He says it will be bigger, faster, and stronger. Well, usually when someone buys something new, he or she is excited. These all show that Ben loves skateboarding and wants to practice even more. So let's read the last page together. Are you ready? Now you just be careful with that, says Mr. Backlund. You wouldn't want to fall and hurt yourself when you're cruising down the street. Thanks, Mr. B, says Ben. I will be. All right, says Mr. Backlund. That's all the time we have for now. Everyone else will get to show, tell, and whatever else they have in mind after we all eat some lunch. Wait for it. Just then, the bell rang and it was time for lunch. So now as we finish this reading section, I want you to think about the questions I asked you in the beginning. What does each student bring to show and tell? And why are these items special? After you finish watching this video, turn to part 2 of your worksheet. For this task, tell what happens first, next, then later, and last in the story. There are pictures to help you add more detail to your writing. All right, let's go over the sections of your textbook that you need to work on. Make sure to work on the reading comprehension section and the listening comprehension section of Lesson 1 from your textbook. All right, good luck on your worksheets and your textbook. I'll see you next time.